Okay. Good evening,
Whoa,
everyone.
hold on, we're not live yet.
Not live yet. All
I
right.
am. Hold on. Um, what's it doing?
Mr. Chair, we're live on the
We're live.
website.
Are we?
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
it
All
wasn't
right.
clear.
Great.
Go ahead.
Thank you. And welcome, Dylan Delga
Thank you.
Baylor, to the it's the new member of the Environment Subcommittee. Great to have you. And so we have two bills for our consideration tonight. We're going to start with House Bill 277. So um, there is a Kristen sent out a reprint a little while ago with some updated amendments. So, Kristen, could you run through what the amendments do, and then Delegate Ruth, I'll ask you to chime in.
Sure. And Chair Stein, would you like, if I can try to bring it up if you'd like me
Sure.
to.
Yeah, that would be great.
Um, okay. We good?
Yes.
Awesome. So yes, the sponsor submitted an amendment to um, specify that the requirements of the bill would not apply if a drinking fountain in a building located in a commercial or industrial area is replaced with no other renovations made, or if a building located in a commercial or industrial area has potable water available through a source other than a drinking fountain, including a kitchen. The amendment also adds language that clarifies the requirement that applies to new construction. So that would be at least one water bottle filling station or a combined water bottle filling station and drinking fountain must be installed in all new construction at each location where a drinking fountain is required under the current version of the International Plumbing Code adopted by the state or local law or regulation.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kristen. And Delegate Ruth, anything you'd like to add as to the intent behind your amendments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you so much. Most of this is to address concerns that Tom brought up about from NAOP. He said that sometimes buildings have a kitchen or something like that, and I agree. It doesn't really seem necessary to put in a water bottle refill station if somebody can just walk into the kitchen and fill up their bottle. So wanted to make that exemption, and then the the second part is basically if they're just replacing the water fountain, like um, the the water fountain's old or it's got lead in it or whatever, and it needs to be replaced, but no other work is being done other than replacing the water fountain, then that's exempted also because um, otherwise you'd have to go in and do plumbing work and change the wall bigger cut in the wall or whatever that you might not have to do if you're just doing a one-to-one replacement. The adopted by the state was actually Chair Stein's suggestion because there are multiple versions of the International Plumbing Code, but the one we want is the one that's actually adopted by the state, even if there's a more recent one. And then finally, the at least one water bottle filling station was a final amendment, and that's because Tom pointed out that in some locations there can be more than one water fountain at the same place. And just to clarify that they don't all need to have a water bottle refill station if they're at the same location.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. Delegate Lehman.
I was going to offer to move the amendment favorable, Mr. Chair.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Is there a second? Okay. Now, I do want to Tom had emailed me earlier before the meeting, saying he wanted to have a chance to comment. Tom, my understanding is Delegate Ruth has included the most recent amendments that you suggested. So, are you good with this?
Yes, and this addresses our concerns, and I appreciate that, Delegate Ruth. Thank you for addressing those.
Okay, very good.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Chair, is Eric Galley on, representing the Heart Association, if I could just check with him?
Sure.
Yeah, our main interest is in making sure that schools are covered for this, and we believe that they are, unless staff feels otherwise.
I agree.
Okay.
So we're good. If Kristen's good, we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so Delegate Ruth, you good with moving forward with the amendments? We've had a motion and a second.
Yep.
Great. All right. All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, amendments pass. Is there a motion for the bill as amended?
Move
So
the
moved.
bill as amended, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay. All right. Any last questions about what the amended bill does? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, the bill is amended, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bill passes as amended. Thanks, everyone, for your work on the bill. Okay, House Bill 131. Okay, so MDE has proposed a number of amendments which I thought made sense in response to some advocates' questions. So, Kristen, could you review them? And then Alex, I'll ask if you want to, add anything about the context for the amendments.
Yeah, and I'll scroll through after I just kind of update where the bill is. So the bill is modifying the prioritization and eligibility for projects that receive funding from the septics account. The bill as introduced, oh, that's not going to work. It worked. My touch screen's not working. It worked the last time. So the bill as introduced had language that would have authorized MDE to establish performance-based funding levels for best available nitrogen removal technology for septic systems that qualify for funding from the Bay Restoration Fund septics account. But that language is being taken out of the bill. The amendments also revise the prioritization language. So that it's the first priority remains where funding would be given for failing systems located in the critical area. And then second to failing systems that are located within a Maryland Chesapeake Bay 8-digit watershed that has a relative effectiveness for total nitrogen reduction of 9.24 or higher based on the Chesapeake Bay watershed model. Third, to failed systems that are located within the 500-year floodplain. And then fourth, to failing systems that the department determines are a threat to public health or water quality. There's also language in the bill, where's my thing, that would expand the Bay Restoration Fund funding access for moderate income homeowners. That's right now there's provisions that have language for low income, and this would expand that for owners that are also at moderate income homeowners.
Okay. All right, thank you. And then there's the language about in the original bill about 15 years setting it rather than specific
right.
needs. Yeah, that was in the original bill.
Right.
Okay, see, Delegates Morgan Lehman, I know you have your hands up, but I want to ask Alex from MDE to comment, and especially to explain the page 4 at the top, the change from the reference to the watershed of a nitrogen impaired body to the 8-digit watershed, et cetera. So if you could explain that, appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the change was initially in the bill, we had a watershed of a nitrogen impaired body of water. The Department would have had to define that term. We changed that after some consultation with several advocates. We decided to change that to that Chesapeake Bay 8-digit watershed number with a 9.24 or higher based on the Bay watershed model. That's more of a science-based approach. It's a targeted approach. It expands it in a reasonable way without giving it too much additional cover. This is something that we spoke about with the advocates, and our Water and Science Administration is fully behind. Additionally, we institute a third priority, which is the 500-year floodplain at the request of advocates. So that's sort of the portion right there. I have a map that I can share with the subcommittee if you're interested in seeing that map of the watershed. And then additionally, the amendments do, the most important amendment is, or the largest one I'll say, is striking the performance-based standards. So what we wanted to do here was provide a little bit more incentive, a little bit more funding based on the quality of system. So if your system is achieving, if it ranks higher on our list, we were interested in providing a little more funding to nudge consumers towards choosing one of these more efficient systems, a system that removes more nitrogen from the watershed. There were some concerns about that, and we've agreed to amend that out of the bill with an understanding that we'll revisit that concept at a later date. So those are the first two. Those are the primary objectives of the amendments, and then I'm happy to answer any questions or go through the rest of the bill if you're interested.
Sure. Well, just a quick question, Alex, about the 8-digit watershed that has relative effectiveness. I take it that is sort of a clarification of what nitrogen impaired body of water is, and it's under that standard that would be a body of water that has a pretty high level of impairment, but not not in the critical area. So you're expanding it the eligibility that way. Is that right?
Correct. We wanted to provide some more clarity around that term, nitrogen impaired watershed.
Okay. All right, Delegate Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alex, you say you had a picture of that map of what the 8-digit watershed is?
Mm-hmm.
Can you share that? Because, living in St. Mary's, I live on a peninsula. So, and same with Calvert.
Yeah, absolutely. I can share that with you. Can I share my screen? Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or should I just send it to you all afterwards, Mr. Chair? What would you prefer?
I mean, if you can share it now, sure, by all means.
Okay, let me see what I can do here.
Alex, was that one of the things that you sent me? Because I might
It
have
was.
to.
It was, yeah. And then
I can look to see to bring that up.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you, Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's gonna let me. Oh. Actually, I think I can, Kristen, if you can't find it readily.
If you can bring it up right now, go for it. I'm just looking through my emails.
Okay.
I didn't know if you'd be allowed to share, but if you can share your screen, go for it. And I can send it out to the members too.
There we go.
Okay, can you see the map?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So it's 9.24 or higher. So we're looking at yellow, orange, and red. So Delegate Morgan, it looks like a fair amount of St. Mary district that you serve would be covered under this.
And Calvert too.
Yeah, it does look that way. Does that help, Delegate Morgan?
It gives me an idea what we're talking about. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Delegate Lehman.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think when Kristen was sharing her screen and scrolling through 3 additions or amendments or conditions, it got to a 4th, and the 3rd one had something to do with a 500-year floodplain or 500-year storm or whatever it said. I'm sorry, I was going so fast. I never saw a number 4 after that. Did I miss that, or is that broken? Is that so much further down that it didn't?
That's
that 4
current
didn't
law.
immediately follow 3.
It places into the fourth priority what's already in current law for failing systems and that starts on line 3 that are a threat to public health or water quality.
Okay, that's third to failed systems. Where's what I'm asking? Wasn't there a fourth?
Yeah, read the after the and in that
Well,
sentence.
I can't because I can't control the screen.
So, and fourth, if you see my cursor.
Yeah.
Where? Okay.
So if you're looking at the line starting line 2, that's where the language is being updated. And so you have to read it all the way through line 3 of the bill, and they're all there. The fourth is not new language. It's just had pushed down what was already in current line to being into the fourth priority.
Okay, but can we see just, okay, so I get what you're saying about that the department determines line 3 or a threat. Can you just show us the 4 anyway? I just wanted to be able to see it. Is it not in here?
It's you have to just read. I mean, I can read it out loud. So this would be for failing systems. So so just before at the end, we're having the priority is starting here at line 29 on page 3, where it would be first to failing
Right.
systems in the critical area. And then
Right.
second, if this is going to be new language, second to failing systems that are located within the watershed of the 8-digit watershed that's
Right,
impaired by
right.
nitrogen. Okay, and then third to failed systems that are located within the 500-year floodplain.
Yes.
And fourth to failing systems that the department determines are a threat to public health or water quality.
Okay, but is there not, even though you said you can't see it, it ends here. Isn't there a fourth priority? What is it? Where is it? Or
So
can you read it?
So yes. So first is the failing systems in critical area. Second is the failing systems in the nitrogen, the 8-digit
Right.
watershed. Third is 500-year floodplain, and fourth is the threat to public health or water quality.
Okay. Okay, it just doesn't, okay, it doesn't say that. Or is that what the change is, that it's saying that's what's fourth?
So can
Okay.
you see line 3 on page?
Yes, I can.
And then do you see, so right above it, it says that the department, this is current law, that the department determines are a threat to public health or water quality.
Yes.
That could be in any location.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
right. So the language it proceeds, it says and fourth to failing systems that the department determines. There's a mixture of new language and existing.
I see what you're saying now. I see the old and the new. I get it.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Delgadado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concerns me. You're ranking the threat to public health lower than those other items. Is that what I understood? On
Well,
line
it's-
3, that's
I think it's about location. I mean, they're all, if they're failing, they're a threat. And so what this does is basically prioritize which locations are, the critical areas in first priority, then the nitrogen impaired 8-digit watershed, then, the failing systems in the floodplain, and then any other system that's determined to be the public health threat.
No, I was impressed, Alex. Thank you for that map. That was my question originally when I raised my hand, but looks like this side of the bay is the one that's polluting, not my side of the bay. And so I don't know how much this is helping me, but I think we do need contribute, and I don't know. We need to grasp something on this better than what we got. And I'd like to see those areas, a map of the areas with that watershed, and explain to me how that number is determined, the nitrogen reduction of 9.24. What's the criteria that establishes that?
Well, Alex, do you want to put up the map again and maybe just generally explain how those numeric valuations are done?
I will do my best. It's a very science-based question. But I will let me see if I can bring the map up here again. Can you see the map?
Yeah, Delgado. So this is the map that references um, the this that uses the standard of effectiveness for total nitrogen reduction. So and Alex, my understanding is the higher the number, the more impaired. Is that right?
Correct.
Or is it more, the system is more effective in reducing the nitrogen load? Is that the criteria that we're doing here?
So Delhi, this isn't about the systems. That would be our BAT system ranking. That wouldn't apply here. This is based on the watersheds themselves. And these 8-digit watersheds we have 138 of them across the state. This is how they're divided up. I'll have to get back to you on exactly how these areas are determined. But this is a ranking of their effectiveness for processing nitrogen. So those are two separate things, the systems and then the impairedness essentially of the watershed, how much they're struggling.
So
Go ahead, Delegate.
well, it says nitrogen effectiveness by the watershed. That's what I don't understand. Is this talking about water samples that it's done that has the criteria, or is it talking about the effectiveness that these systems will have and changing that? Is that
It's the strength of the watershed, the strength of the watershed in processing nitrogen and their current status.
So
well,
Alex,
I don't have any red in my district, but I have the chickens and I got the oysters too. So we'll talk about it.
Happy to follow up with you, Delegate.
I need to digest some of this stuff.
Okay.
all right,
Happy to
well,
follow up with you.
Alex, is it fair to say that the higher the number, then all septic systems being equal, which I've realized they're not, but if you remediate a failing septic system in areas that have the higher numbers, you're going to have a bigger impact on nitrogen pollution than in the others.
Correct. It's a corrective measure. It's a corrective action that we're trying to take here. We're trying to target specific areas that need help more.
And the yellow ones, Delegate Otto, do you have yellow in your district?
Yes.
Okay, so those would be covered by this.
And appropriately so, as far as I'm
Sure.
concerned, because that's the closest to the bay. But
Sure. As well as, I mean, the critical areas are
Yeah.
still in. They're still the first priority.
yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Let's see. Delegate Morgan, did you have a follow-up question?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do. Yeah, actually, if we could get that map so I can study it a little bit more than what we see. But I'm sorry, if I'm understanding this correctly, and I'm looking down at the same areas in Calvert, we got bad soil, for lack of a better word, and subsequently we're causing more pollution to the bay, but because we are in the red and orange and yellow areas, we are more likely to receive some support from the state for failing septic system. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, critical area, anything within the critical area is still the top priority, but then afterwards, if you're in a yellow, orange, or red area, then that would be the second priority for support with fixing failing septics.
Okay.
Okay. Delegate Foley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a different question. So refresh my memory, or maybe I missed it in the bill. So this is a fund, correct?
Yes.
And what is the source of the funding?
Well, I'll start, and then Alex, why don't you add to it? It's part of the Bay Restoration Fund. It's a septic subaccount that's funded by contributions by septic users.
Oh, okay. All right. That's all I need to know. So there's presumably a finite amount of money in the fund, right?
That's right.
Okay. So I do have a slight concern that if we expand it to moderate income, that how are we going to decide? Like, what if when the money runs out? Like, I know we have those priorities, but are the priorities going to be based solely upon those critical areas, for lack of a better term, those bad areas that you and Delegate Morgan and Delegate Otto have been talking about, or is there a consideration for income? It seems like there's a consideration for income also. And so I guess I'm trying to figure out, I would hate to expand it for quote unquote moderate income, which the bill says the department determines. So I don't know what that is. And then low income, which I guess the department determines also. I would just, I don't want like some people who really need the money, or they wouldn't be able to do, to fix their septic systems, for the fund to be out of money. So I'm just trying to figure out how that's going to work.
Alex, can you help with that?
Sure, I can try. So, low income would of course be the priority, but it's also about the failing septic systems happen across income levels, of course, and they can be expensive. And if we can't repair them, we can't get that fixed. It's a huge issue. So we need to prioritize, of course, low income folks, but then also include moderate income when that is the highest need. So it's not saying that we're going to divert a significant amount of funds from low income into moderate income, but where those lines are blurred and people may be moderate income on the lower end of moderate income, we need to get them a little bit of support from the Bay Restoration Fund to make sure that these septic systems are not leaching nitrogen into the watershed.
So if I understand correctly, Alex, you're going to prioritize the environmental part of this, right? Like whose septic systems are failing, and then you're going to decide whether they can afford to fix them, basically, is what you're saying. Is that right?
Both those components matter very much.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I understand now.
Alex, I hate to be a fly in the ointment, but on page 5, where we do add moderate income owners. Right now, I would just say low and moderate income owners. It doesn't seem to give any priority to low income owners. It seemed, unless I understand what you're saying. I mean, if there was funding for just just one family and two families, one low income, what moderate income would apply, you'd give priority to the low income. But is that clear enough from the language there that low income owners get priority over moderate income owners?
I think it's explicitly clear in the statute. I think that how we operate, we've only had low. We haven't had that component of moderate income as well. But I can tell you that the priority would, of course, be with low income.
Okay.
From the department's perspective.
Okay. Delegate Otto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I thought in the bill hearing, it was said that we talked about how we fixed the big plants and all that. You're still just redistributing the existing pot for the septic systems? Is that what the bill does? I thought you were talking about adding additional funds from the other part with the big time
wastewater treatment plants.
This does not remove funding for wastewater treatment plants. This makes small adjustments to the septics account. So this is money that was going to septics. It's still going to septics. So we're not adding additional funds, which, of course, we would love to add additional funds to help more septic systems, but we're not changing funding levels. for the septic account. This is the same amount of money.
Has the monies continued to be used in that? Is that used every year? You allocate certain amounts to each county or
Correct. Correct. We provide block grants to local jurisdictions.
Yeah,
This-
yearly.
Go ahead.
This would just expand who's eligible for it?
Small adjustments to expand eligibility.
Does this require a social justice score or?
I don't believe we have an
believe so.
EJ screening tool for this purpose. This is sort of block grants to the local jurisdictions, and then with some, obviously some targeted investment here.
All right, I believe we need to study this a little more if there's any kind of, and I'd like to know those numbers. How many additional people would this qualify for, and what the income levels are, and they should change from one jurisdiction to another.
Happy to use more information, Delegate.
Yeah. Well, Delegate, let me ask you, are you good with moving on this with the idea that MDE will follow up with you as to the expanded eligibility, estimates of the type of, numbers increase or
No,
so
I'm
if
not
MD
ready to move on it now.
you are, you say you are?
I'm not.
You're
no.
not. Okay.
I mean, I need to study these amendments a little closer, and I'd like to see that map a little closer and understand. And if Alex gets back with what the criteria is that determines those areas and the formula that's used, I appreciate that.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll hold the bill.
I think there's potential to the bill, absolutely. Yeah. And we have issues that need to be addressed. The other issue I had is about hooking up to a wastewater treatment system. That doesn't change. You had date changes in the bill too, from a given date to 15 years.
Correct. Yeah. So Delegate, first off, happy to follow up with you as soon as tomorrow on some of these questions. The date changes are when the Bay Restoration Fund was initially drafted in statute, it had a hard date of 2008 for failing septic systems. We're reaching past life cycles for some systems, and we need to make sure that those failing systems are eligible for some BRF funds. And it's a rolling deadline, so it's 15 years. The application, 15 years from the application date. So it's rolling 15 years.
I wanted to understand it. I don't have any problems with that. I think it's a proper measure, but and how about hooking up to that doesn't change anything there other than the 15 years of hooking up systems to a sanitary district or a wastewater treatment plant or helping to share money for that.
So as far as connections are covered,
that only changed the time frame there, right?
Right. It doesn't change exact amount of money that will be provided or specify any further on connections versus.
Yeah,
systems.
It doesn't change the criteria for, aside from the time, change the criteria for connecting to a municipal system.
Okay, that helps me. Thank you.
Sure. Delegate Foley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If we are holding the bill, I also would like to kind of following up on your comments about being a fly in the ointment. I also would like a little more clarity around the income issue. I don't have a good idea of what that amendment should be, but I do think that we might want to make that a little clearer. Again, we both raised the issue. I am a little concerned that, I understand that the environmental priorities come first, but I also want to make sure that we help the neediest people first, once we get to that point, right? So I would like a little more clarity around that.
Happy to follow up on that.
Okay. Great. Delgado,
Thank
follow-up
you,
question?
Mr. Chair. Another question came to mind I was thinking of when we went through the bill and was the oh glory, I've lost it now again, but
Sorry.
we'll discuss it if we're
Well,
holding it out.
yeah.
Alex, I'm sure can answer my question is of how there was something else being changed in the bill that I wanted to. Oh, the ranking of the systems and their performance. I wanted a little better information about that. How are we doing it? We wanted to pay for the best systems. Now you're choosing the winners and the losers in this now, or before we had a system that you
I can
had guidance on, and how many of them would qualify? Is this just specifying one system that some guru
Yeah.
says is the
Yeah,
best?
Delgado, that's out. That's been taken out. So there won't be the ranking and evaluation of systems. That initially was in the bill, but that's by amendment come out. Alex, just confirm I'm right on that.
confirming you're right.
That's why
Sure.
I had the same question.
Sure. Okay, but yeah, we did take that out.
Thank you.
Okay, sure. All right, so we'll have follow-up conversations about this. Okay. Well, that's it for tonight's agenda. Thanks everyone for the good discussion, and um, see everyone tomorrow.